So just a few days ago, the long-awaited Mueller report is released, exonerating Trump and his campaign from any conspiracy with the Russians, or Russian government to be specific, in helping him win his 2016 campaign run for president against Hillary Clinton. Now, of course, predictably, people on the left are just beside themselves, and so many of them simply refuse to believe it. The fact is, there was no evidence to connect Trump and his campaign to any collusion with the Russian government, and it doesn't seem to make a great deal of difference to so many people who had some great stake in him being convicted for such a crime. So is there really anything there? Is there really any evidence? Why do these people need to hold on to this belief that's almost religious, that Trump is a traitor, that has actually subverted our Constitution and seeks to destroy our democracy? Is there anything actually there, or is it all just hyper-partisan conspiratorial bullshit after all?
This is not mind control. Think about it.
You would think that the nation would be breathing a sigh of relief. Our president is not a traitor. He didn't actually conspire with a foreign power as a foreign agent or a foreign asset to subvert our Constitution and destroy our democracy. But there are people that, for whatever reason, are so emotionally invested and emotionally connected with the idea that he is a traitor and a spy and a Russian asset, that they refuse to accept the findings of the report. Which, and this is thus the title of the video, to me, they remind me of flat earthers, people who just refuse to accept the science and the evidence and say the earth is flat no matter what, and we're all wrong and it's a big conspiracy. So yesterday on my social media, I had posted, I was volleying a little bit back and forth with somebody that I know who, for whatever reason, he's Canadian, and he is invested in Trump being a Russian asset and a criminal, which to me is truly bizarre. I mean, it's bizarre no matter where you're from, if you ask me. He was saying, well, I'll wait until, what about the sealed indictments? Well, it turns out there were no sealed indictments. More fake news from the media, who's been providing us with fake news for the past almost 300 days on this piece of shit. So immediately afterwards, he starts posting these memes about how, the picture of Attorney General Barr and saying, I'm not going to let you know what's in this report, blah, 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 blah. So here are my predictions, and I think it's pretty easy to guess what's going to happen. Most people are not aware of the scope of this investigation. Most people don't understand there were 2,000 subpoenas, 13 different countries were communicated with on this. There were 19 attorneys, not to mention the entirety of our national security apparatus. We're talking about Department of Homeland Security and the FBI. I do believe CIA was mentioned, but I don't want to say that for sure because I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, before the report could even be delivered, a federal judge had to look at it because of the intelligence work that was within it requires a special classification, a clearance, just to be able to read this thing. So do the people who are saying that this was some weird conspiracy between Barr and Mueller not to deliver the real report actually know this? And if that was the case, how are they going to get all of these people in our security apparatus, the judges that issued the warrants, the subpoenas, all the people that were interviewed? I can't remember how many people were interviewed. It was in the thousands. It was staggering. $30 million in almost 3 years. And it was really just, Mueller decided that because he and Barr supposedly are friends, or that Trump had offered Barr's son a job someplace, that is enough, that's the reason that there weren't any further indictments. We also are hearing that they're hanging their hopes on the Southern District of New York, whatever's happening over there. The fact of the matter is if a probe this size, with this far of reach, this much scope, and frankly, this much, the records of it all, didn't find what it is that I call them the new religious left. They need to believe emotionally that Trump was this criminal and this mastermind and that now our own government is colluding with him to hide the collusion with Russia. This is not critical thinking. man. This is what they call, there's a psychological theory called cognitive theory, which is, there's basically, I'm going to break it down and make it very simple. Two tenets, cognitive comfort and cognitive dissonance. Cognitive comfort is what we seek. We are cognitively comfortable when we're at home. We're cognitively comfortable when we pick a political party or a tribe and we align with that party, and that makes us feel comfortable. It makes us feel safe. And then there is cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is, in essence, when information that contradicts our closely held, emotionally guarded and protected beliefs is presented. It makes us very uncomfortable and creates kind of a sub-intellectual fight or flight response. This is what makes people, when you're actually having a discussion, debate, or even an argument with somebody, and you present them with facts that contradict their narrative or their own presentation, that they tend to offer strawman arguments or deflect and ignore the actual, or even concede, okay, I just learned something new. That's what a critical thinker looks like. And there's not a lot of that going on right now. So we have essentially what I call, they're flat earthers, man. These are people who ignore the evidence on purpose because it creates so much discomfort and contradicts that emotionally, they're bonded emotionally with this outcome and this idea that I actually saw Rachel Maddow the other night was nearly in tears. She was choked up while she was talking about this. It was mind-blowing. Why would you be? We should be relieved. Our president, whether you like the man or not, is not a Russian asset. He's not a Russian agent. And I have no special love for this guy. Personally, I don't think he's qualified to hold the office at all. He's no leader. Now, we can judge him based on his actions. And I do, rather than saying, I'm a Trump supporter. That just means that you're a jockstrap that Trump wears. I'm nobody's supporter. I'm a supporter of ideas that I agree with after consideration and debate. So, and we'll get to that. So not only, so here, like I said, here's my, it's funny too, because just a couple of months ago, the Senate basically found the same thing. And of course, the cries of, oh, but the Senate's run by Republicans, somehow invalidate the efforts, which would then put the Senate in a conspiratorial position to make sure that no collusion was found. So not only will the press, they got what they call the Trump bump in ratings, and this is because of all of this stuff. Their ratings just have been sky high. Some people built their careers over the last couple of years on this kind of reporting. They will not only not accept it, but neither will the identitarians and conspiracy theorists. Neither will most of the politicians. I predict they're going to drag Mueller in front of Congress and question him. And they're going to do it in a way that, this is going to be their Benghazi, and it's going to look just as stupid as the Republicans looked when they just dragged that on and on and on. And now actually McConnell yesterday was talking about opening investigations. No, it wasn't McConnell. Well, McConnell actually did bring up Obama, which is like, come on, man, we're past that. And the country is too. You guys want to screw this up? Keep screwing it up. People are sick of this crap already. I think it was Lindsey Graham who was talking about, excuse me, reopening investigations into Hillary's email. Come on, man. I don't think that Americans, I think there are plenty of people on the right that would like to see that happen, but I don't think that generally America is going to find this to be a good thing. It's pretty much time we start healing from this. The report is going to include, the report, because of the intelligence sources and methods that are in it, it must be redacted. It has to be. There's also grand jury information and testimony in this report that is not for public consumption. And of course, the Democrats know this. So what they're going to do is they're going to spin it. Oh, look at all the redactions. We don't get to see the whole report. Well, no, we can't. Do you want to give away our intelligence secrets to the very people that supposedly were part of the destruction of our presidential election? No, we don't, and we can't. So, and of course, that's what the left is going to lean on. Oh, look, it's redacted. We didn't get to see the whole thing. Bullshit. We don't get to see the whole thing for very good reasons. Bill Maher says last night, and this is, again, flat earthers, man. This is flat earth crap. He says, so I don't need a report to tell me that Trump is a traitor because I have a TV. Yeah, well, I have a shoe, and it doesn't tell me that Trump is a traitor. How does your TV tell you that Trump is a traitor? We require evidence. There is a preponderance and a body of evidence that is necessary to form an opinion. Now, one of the things that I kept hearing, and this goes on and on and on, is, oh, this is a successful investigation. We had 17 indictments. We've had, they indicted a bunch of corrupt lawyers, one of which was money laundering for Ukrainians 10 years ago. We had a handful of Russians that bought $100,000 worth of Facebook ads that might have bought them a couple of hundred votes. And those people aren't going anywhere. They're not coming here. They're not going to face it. They're not going to come here from Russia and go, yeah, I'm sorry, and face that judge or these people, our people. So again, what I just can't. It was like we found a bunch of corrupt lawyers and corrupt politicos in Washington. Huge shock to me. That's not for what it is that the scope was supposed to be about. Is that we had a president who was actually a traitor to this country, a Russian asset. That is what we were told. That's what the media went with for years, and now they're falling apart because they got nothing else to report. Think about it. Carefully think. I want, again, the critical thought. This was Aristotle, a philosopher, understood that our very first nature was cognitive dissonance when we heard information that made us feel uncomfortable. He also understood that he would, it's almost like what a psychologist would tell you to do. Smile at that thought and go, okay, I'm uncomfortable. Now, turn your brain back on and start thinking. Do you really think that because Barr is an AG appointed by Trump, that he made some sort of a deal to make sure that no real information got out? You know how many people know what that information actually is? How would that even work? He would go and say, oh, no. And the people who worked on it for the last 3 years, the hundreds or thousands of people who worked on this would go, wait a minute, that's not what it said. And so Mueller is so tight and such a good friend to Barr that he would risk his career, his freedom, his family, his fortune, his reputation to say, oh, no, I'm going to risk actually corrupting this whole thing so that my buddy Barr doesn't get in any trouble. Those things are preposterous and stupid. And this is the same kind of preposterous stupidity that you see from flat earthers. Aristotle understood that once you set aside that initial reaction, your first nature, he called it, to reject anything that made you feel uncomfortable, and you began to think about it, he suggested that practice makes that process perfect, essentially. And it creates what he referred to as second nature. And that's where that term comes from. So I understand that there are people who don't like the left. There's people who don't like the right. I get it. There's people who don't like Trump. I'm one of them. But at the same time, my second nature serves me far better in considering these issues than my first nature which would be to reject it all and say that evidence, that an actual pathology to facts doesn't matter.
You're an asshole, and you know it!